The Women Economics Forum is a platform that not only applauds the remarkable achievements of women in our discipline, but also fosters a spirit of inclusivity and empowerment. Without further ado, let me introduce our distinguished panelists. I'm delighted to start by introducing Deborah Senior. Deborah Senior is not only an accomplished leader in the world of economics and business, from her role as vice president at Toyota Motor North America to opening her own consultancy, but a dedicated humanitarian. She holds a PhD and an MA in economics from USC, an MS in nonprofit NGO leadership and social innovation from UPenn, and a BA in economics and history from UC Berkeley. Above all, she's the cherished founder and chair of Women in Economics, UC's very own network of accomplished alumni committed to closing the gender gap in the field of economics through sponsoring forums, networking opportunities, and guidance through inspirational women role models. Ladies, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Deborah Senior. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate all of your time. We've got students, alums, staff, a lot of people who dedicated their time tonight to make this happen. So the reason that we are all here is because we believe in the power of an education in economics. And what better way to illustrate that than to hear firsthand from a number of alums who have built their careers on that foundation of economics. So what we're going to do tonight, we've got our panel speakers, and then after we have a conversation with our panelists, we'll break to grab dinner, and then you can come back and sit at any table that you like. If you want to meet some other people, you can go to multiple tables. We are here for you. You'll see there's a number of alums in addition to our panelists here to talk to you. Go ahead, ask them questions. You might get some thoughts based on our discussion here. And it'll be a great night. Awesome. So first off, I will introduce Taylor Osher, who I first met here, I think, in this room, same event, like 5 years ago. Taylor is now an associate at Stubbs, Alderton, and Markiles. Great. We have Amanda Levy, who is account executive at Slack. I'm sorry, I looked at you. Amanda Levy at the end. Amanda is a vice president at Evoke Advisors. Geragosian is an account executive at Slack. And Alissa Dubetz, she's a director at CVT Economics. So what we wanted to start off with is just to hear, why did you decide to major in economics? And we'll ask our panelists to share a little bit about what it is that their job means on a day-to-day basis. Taylor, I'll start with you. How did you decide to major in economics?
So I chose to major in economics because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I had in the back of my mind that I wanted to be an attorney, but I wasn't necessarily sure what type of attorney at the time or if I would ultimately become an attorney, because many attorneys told me that was not a very enjoyable career. So I thought economics would be a good major because there was a lot of opportunities and different paths I could take with it. And that's ultimately why I chose it.
Wonderful. Ani, did you always know that you wanted to major in economics?
No, I transferred to USC as a junior. I did 2 years at community college. I transferred in as a biochem major. I thought I was going to be a pharmacist. Come second semester junior year, I knew I was not going to be a pharmacist. And USC is a very prestigious university. There are incredible programs. And I was looking at what my options were and thinking about what I really enjoyed learning about. And I landed on econ because I thought there are so many opportunities that I could pursue with this background. And I felt like it was also such a strong foundation for, any industry that I would consider going into, whether it was retail or tech. So that's how I landed on econ. But it's such an incredible program. Take advantage of, all the opportunities and networking that you can while at USC. And I'm happy to answer any questions one-off about making the switch.
I have a quick follow-up for you. Did you consider majoring in something in the business school?
Yeah. So obviously, Marshall is very well known at USC and even outside of USC. But I thought that econ I saw more opportunity with economics personally because I felt like Marshall was very entrepreneurial and focused a lot on the marketing and finance and how things work. And I saw in econ there was a lot of the quantitative and qualitative aspects of like why things work the way that they do. So that felt more applicable for what I would eventually then pursue.
Excellent. Alissa, how about you? Did you have a master plan with economics in it from the beginning?
No, definitely not. I entered my undergraduate career undeclared. So I was undeclared for 2 years and then ultimately decided on economics. And it honestly, I never had anything that I was like super passionate about. So I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Like I felt a lot of pressure to like decide what I like wanted to pursue a career in. And so I can definitely echo what they both mentioned in terms of like economics being something that you can do anything with. So you're not really like grounded to like a specific thing, even once you choose it. But I mean, for me, I think I always was, I had like elements of things I knew I was interested in. I knew I enjoyed like social science as a whole. I really enjoyed like thinking about how like behavior works, how humans like make certain decisions. Like that was always really interesting to me. And then I also knew like through a career, I always wanted to do something or have a skill set that was more like technical and analytical. And I felt like economics was just that perfect like marrying of those two things. Just, you know, as Ani mentioned, like the why things are happening in a certain way, why like humans are making these decisions, but also the, you know, mathematical quantitative side. I think it's just like a really good skill set to have just in general in your career. Yeah.
Excellent point. Thank you. Amanda, how about you? Did you have economics in your master plan?
I actually did not. I started out as a chemistry major with pre-med, and during my sophomore year OChem lab, I got terrible lab results. I broke 2 Bunsen burners and a test tube, and I knew in that moment that I needed to change my major. So I picked econ because I really enjoyed econ when I took the class in high school. And it just made sense to me. I also knew that it would help me be a better decision maker, and it would really help me no matter what field I wanted to get into.
Excellent. And continuing along those lines, could you share with us how did you get to be in the position that you are today and in the field that you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I graduated from a master's in econ program at USC, I did not know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to work in finance, but I was interviewing for roles as an equity analyst, as asset management, wealth management. And as part of my interview process, I learned that the econ degree really helped me through. And for the wealth management role, I had to complete a 3-hour case study. And these were questions I had never seen before, I couldn't prepare for, but they would be tasks that I would encounter on the job. And later in the interview process, one of my managers asked me, my future manager, did you manage to find the case study answer key online? And she was joking. And I wish I had, because that would have saved me a lot of time. But really, it was the econ training that helped me through that case study. And the problem solving and the way of organizing my thoughts was really helpful.
And are you pleased with where you found yourself within finance in the wealth management side of things?
Yes, I really enjoy wealth management. I really clicked with the team when I interviewed with them, and I'm still with that team today, 8 years later. And it's really nice to be able to help clients achieve their financial goals and also learn how to invest for my future as well.
Excellent. Now, Taylor, I want to hear more about your process and all of the advice that you got, maybe not all encouraging toward your original idea.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I wanted to be an attorney since I was little, but ultimately I do what many people who want to become attorneys do. I go ask an attorney, hey, how do you like this job? How do I become an attorney? I was told, don't do this, you'll hate your life. I'm like, okay, let me go ask someone else. Don't do this, you'll hate your life. And it really scared me into becoming an attorney and almost made me not want to go to law school, which is a big part of the reason why I liked my economics, and I was specifically a political economics major. But what was great about my econ major was I was allowed to try a lot of different types of jobs, and I tried a lot of different types of jobs before ultimately I decided, no, I really do want to become an attorney. But it was great. I worked a marketing job for an artist management company. I worked sales for Lionsgate. Then I was a data analyst for Universal Music. And finally, I'm like, you know what? That's it. I'm going to law school.
And what specific field do you focus on within legal profession?
So I am a data privacy attorney and an intellectual property attorney with an emphasis on trademark and brand protection. I also do a little bit of consumer products law. And it's been a really great field for me. I absolutely love it. The data privacy in particular came about because when I was a data analyst, I saw Europe pass the very first data privacy law. And so I saw firsthand how a law all the way in Europe could affect my day-to-day life over in California. And it got me really interested in just people's privacy rights. Seeing the amount of data that I had access to at 22 years old and the amount of information I had about people was, it was really cool. It was really interesting. But it's a lot. You have a lot of access to people's information. And especially if you have a very analytical mind, which you'll learn as an econ major, you can do a lot with that information. And so for me as like a data privacy attorney, it's so cool every day to see the law is evolving in so many ways and people are getting a lot more protection and rights over the data that they never had 5-10 years ago. So I just think that is really amazing.
Very interesting. Thank you. Ani, would you mind sharing a little bit? What was your post-graduation experience like?
Yeah. So I was working a part-time internship in marketing my last semester at USC, and it wasn't really turning into a full-time opportunity. So upon graduating, I was just working part-time, and I didn't really feel a sense of calling towards that job. And also I was a little bit lost, honestly. Like all my friends had their jobs lined up for the summer and they already knew where they would be moving post-graduation. And I was definitely like in a weird space where I was like, I like what I'm doing, but I don't see this moving into full-time post-grad. So I think it was 2 months after graduating, a recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn, and it was for a sales program at Oracle. And I was like, you know what? I don't feel a real calling towards anything else right now. And I've always been interested in tech. So I'm going to go for it. I'm just going to see what this could be. If I don't like it, I can switch. I had a finance internship one summer. I was like, I can always do that, fall back on that. So I didn't really, know what I was going to do when I graduated. So if you feel like, you don't know what you want to do for your summer internship, or you don't have a job lined up when you graduate, don't worry. Like something will fall into place. But ended up starting at Oracle that summer, and I immediately fell in love with working with all different types of companies and working in different industries. And now more specifically, as my career has evolved, I've been really primarily focused in financial services. So that's where I see my econ background really begin to shine. So I'm working with banks and credit unions and financial technology companies based in the Bay Area. So a lot of really cool accounts, as well as meeting with really like innovative mindsets. And my econ background gives me a great understanding as to why a CIO makes the decision that he does, like why a CFO budgets the way that he does for the year. So didn't know right off the bat from graduating, but now I feel very confident in my career and in my current role.
Excellent. Thank you. Alissa, what was your experience like post-grad? Did you have some similarities, and how did you find your way to the path that you're on now?
Yeah, so when I graduated undergrad, I was really lost. I actually was very fortunate. I had the opportunity to get a master's degree in economics, which was kind of my solution to being like, I don't know what to do, but I still love economics, so I'm just gonna get another degree. And that was here at USC. And my experience was, after I graduated, I had applied to like a bunch of jobs through LinkedIn. That was a really great resource for me. Ultimately landed a job at a economic consultancy called Beacon Economics. They do a lot of market research. My background is professionally in like economic development. After Beacon Economics, I went to the Milken Institute, which is more of like a policy think tank. But the work that we do is really around how can we strengthen and enhance communities, both like from an economic standpoint, in terms of like employment growth, wage growth, job growth, but also like from a social standpoint as well, ensuring that growth is, you know, inclusive and equitable of like all, you know, people of all demographics within a certain region. And I think it's really interesting because you get to learn a lot about different industries, different types of things that fall under the big umbrella that is economic development, like employment, business climate, housing, infrastructure, workforce development. And to me, it's just really interesting. And I feel like those are topics that are constantly, you know, talked about like in the everyday life. And so you kind of just get to, like, your job is kind of like what people talk about. And so you just kind of have like a little bit more of knowledge of those types of conversations that you can bring to the table. And yeah,
that's very helpful. Thank you. Another topic that we wanted to cover tonight is around leadership, and that was part of our sort of a cornerstone when we created the organization. We didn't just want to support women getting into economics or developing their careers, but we also wanted to help position women for leadership roles. And leadership can mean all kinds of different things. It doesn't have to mean in a hierarchy of an organization like a manager. It could be, you know, some kind of expertise. It can be a lot of different things. So I guess maybe, Alissa, to follow up on that, do you feel that your economics background is helpful in terms of developing your leadership skills, or in terms of people reaching their potential?
Yeah, I think certainly, I mean, I think the trend has certainly improved, but we do kind of live in a world where I feel like women traditionally maybe aren't seen as having jobs that are very technical or quantitative. And I think that being able to like walk into a room and like have that background is almost like empowering. And it's really like, to me, it's like such a strength to be able to like understand the language of like quantitative analytical conversations. And I think that economics just in general just helps the way that you navigate life. Like, I think everything that we do, like whether you're aware of it or not, like has some grounding in economics. And it's just like, you know, whether you decide you want to go out to dinner with friends or stay at home and eat boxed mac and cheese on the couch, like that is like a cost benefit analysis that you're doing in your head regularly. I mean, for me, regularly, whether it's like the cost of, you know, like a financial cost or a mental health cost, whatever it may be. But yeah, sorry, I kind of went on a tangent. I love economics.
Thank you. Ani, what do you think about that? Do you agree about your economics background, and what's your perspective on how to maybe position yourself for leadership opportunities?
Yeah. So thinking specifically about the world that I work in, I would say tech is a bit of a unicorn in the sense that you definitely can see the presence of women leadership around you, which is incredible. I work with a lot of really strong women leaders who mentor me and who have guided me along my career. So I think that also having the econ background gives you a lot of credibility too when looking at, you know, potential leadership opportunities. Like, for example, I'm on our SoCal Women's Leadership Board at Salesforce, quote unquote, Slack, where I work. So I work to plan events for our office, as well as I'm I'm on the finance side, so I also budget for all the events and things that we host every quarter. So there are so many opportunities if you put yourself out there to find them in every industry. But I would say tech is a great place if you're looking to really work up in your career and be a leader.
Great advice. Taylor, how about you? I know that you've had, you mentor some people. What kind of questions do they ask of you? Whether it's around leadership or being a woman in your field. I know many of us are either in predominantly male, either sectors or maybe just organizations. What's your advice to people?
Yeah, I think entering the workforce and getting your first full-time job out of college, I think it's natural, and a lot of women especially want to know how to come in and, one, be taken seriously, but also how to rise into a leadership position, especially when you're so young and junior in your career. And for me, I found that knowledge was power. When I first graduated, I worked as a data analyst, and being able to work with the numbers and having access to the data and understanding how it worked was a rare skill not everyone knew how to do. And so I had the presidents of the company, presidents of departments, all coming to me and saying, hey, like, what are the numbers? And coming to me and looking to me for that information, which kind of, I wouldn't say made me their leader, but it definitely made them someone of value. And then even as an attorney now, as I'm learning more about the law and advising my clients, they're coming to me and asking me for advice. And they really look to me to make some decisions that, I mean, they could get sued if they choose the wrong decision. And so I think just the more you learn, and you're all very blessed to have a very amazing education here at USC. And I felt like my economics degree in particular, just that analytical way of thinking and being able to talk to people and describe things to people very logically has just set me up really well for success and to become a leader.
That's a really great experience to share how your economics background helped you distinguish yourself, because maybe your peers appear to have the same background, but they actually don't. So I love hearing that. Thank you. Amanda, how about you? Do you feel your economics background is helpful when you think about leadership?
Yes, it's definitely helped me in leadership. I think a big part of becoming a leader is knowing what your strengths are and using your strengths to achieve your goals. It's really important to know what you're good at, whether that's working directly with clients, analyzing data, managing a team. And for me, the economics degree really helped me with problem solving and become a good decision maker. And the way I've used that in my current role is I help lead our team operations. So I help find ways to make the team run more efficiently and implement new technologies. So ultimately, I think that as a good way to become a leader, I would recommend
Yeah, really developing your or utilizing what you have already developed. In those positions.
Exactly. Knowing what you're good at and finding a role that plays to those strengths and using what you've learned in the econ major.
Excellent. Thank you. Alissa, have you had a lot of women in your organization or your industry or perhaps your management structure?
No. So no is the quick answer. I would say the field that I work in is like very applied economics, and I think that that's certainly a very male dominated field. And so I have found in my career path, like having to push a little harder to make sure I'm like heard in the room, and or making it known that like what I'm saying like is valuable and is coming from like a background of experience and knowledge, just because I do have my background in economics. But I have had a lot of people like supportive, like within the industry as well, like wanting to uplift like especially women within the industry. I think that finding people who understand that is something that's like valuable for the economy as a whole is like bringing women up within like industries that are male dominated, and especially within an industry like mine where there's a lot of like decision making at the policy level that's driven, making sure that that's like driven by voices from, you know, all different types of demographics is important.
And to follow up on that, have you found, let's say you don't have a lot of women around you, have you found mentors who have been helpful or supportive in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. Like male mentors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. Like finding people who support you and want to uplift like that within you is has been really important for me. And I've been honestly like coming out of graduating from USC, I was really honored to have like a mentor, a male mentor who helped me a lot in the beginning of my career, and that kind of like set the trajectory for the rest of my career really. And that was really something that I value, and I know a lot of people like don't have access to.
That's great. That's very helpful to know. I think we've all been hearing lately about getting support from broader audiences and finding those allies. So thank you for making that point. Amanda, what's your experience been like with women in your organization? And are there a lot of women? And have you had female managers or?
Yes. So I've had the opportunity to work with 2 of the female partners at our firm, and that's been very inspiring for me. Generally, finance is a male-dominated field, but it has been really wonderful to be able to work with successful women in the field. And the great thing about the econ major is it makes you very versatile and gives you a lot of opportunities. I feel like a lot of graduates immediately top of mind when they graduate, they think, oh, I want to go into consulting or investment banking. Not necessarily wealth management, but wealth management is a really great field because it offers work-life balance for women, and it's not an insane amount of hours.
That's a great point. Thank you for sharing that, because when you're not in the field, you know, financial careers can be very different, and you don't know until you really get familiar, whether it's because you're doing it or because you talk to people who share that information. And then that's helpful as you go. Taylor, do you have any other thoughts about, you know, thinking in terms of women, you know, trying to establish themselves in the field? What kind of advice do you give people?
I think for me, it was don't be afraid to try things. It took me a couple jobs before I ultimately found the career that I now love, which is being an attorney. And even then, I think there are a lot of different law firms, and I've been very fortunate to find one that has a women's attorney groups. And so as a female in a very male-dominated field, I feel very supported. I have a lot of opportunity to learn from some really amazing women of how to be successful as a female, as an attorney, to have, to the extent you can, have work-life balance as an attorney, how to balance that, and to see people who are very similar to me have gone through it and learn from them. I think, to echo what other people have said, like finding a mentor, finding someone that, even if they aren't doing exactly what you see yourself doing long term, like that you can relate to, and that kind of echoes the path that you kind of would like to go down, I think it can be very empowering and incredibly informative.
Excellent. Thank you. I liked the point you had made about how to establish your presence. We've talked a lot about making your voice heard and how important these things are. Do any of you have any other thoughts you want to share on any of these topics, or any advice, whether it's for someone who's still thinking about, you know, their major and what they might do after, or later on in terms of once you're in the workforce and, you know, how to navigate things and find your way?
I'll go first. I would say now as a student, like one thing I don't want to say I regret it, but in hindsight, I wish I would have taken more advantage of the opportunities that USC presents you with. So whether it's having a mentor through the econ mentorship program, or going to office hours with your professors, meeting with your counselors, getting advice from them, that's something, looking back on my college career, I wish I would have done. So I definitely recommend that. And then looking towards your future careers, don't be afraid to venture into an industry that people might tell you that econ's not applicable, or you're not going to be able to move up in that. Like, don't listen to that. If you want to work in fashion and retail, go for it. If you want to work in entertainment, go for it. Like, an econ degree is so valuable, and it will open so many doors in your career. So definitely take advantage of what USC has to offer you. And then, the world is your oyster. Go after any type of career that you're interested in, because your econ degree is 100% applicable.
Excellent, thank you. And you raise a really good point, and I think, Alissa, you had also mentioned it before about finding that intersection of the economics background and training, and then how to find the thing that you love. For example, you had some entertainment experience, right? And sometimes we think about, oh, it'd be great to work in an entertainment field, or sports, or any number of things a person might be interested in, and all of those things have a significant business around them. Not many people in the business might be the athletes, but there's a whole business around it. So I think what we've heard and continue to see is how much you can take that economics education and apply it to so many things. And you can find, other things that you're really excited about, and that intersectionality is a really good point.
Yeah, I'll just add kind of like a little anecdote to that. So I work in economic consulting. My firm specializes in actually the creative economy. So it's so we work with a lot of artists and entertainment industry companies like Netflix, Amazon. So it's exactly to your point, where it's what my job function is economics, but it's within a field of entertainment is the lens, or the creative economy is the lens. And I think that that's a very, well said point. Yeah.
Thank you so much. There isn't anything else. We actually have some time to take some questions from the students, and Karina's got a microphone ready. Oh. Who has a question for any of our panelists?
Sure. This is working. Okay. First of all, thank you so much. This was beautiful, and all of you said such valuable things. And being an alum from a long time ago in econ here at SC, I can tell you it's so valuable, like you said. But Amanda, I just want to reiterate what she said, because it was awesome, and I hope you all heard it. Know your strengths, know what you're good at, and own it, because not only will you succeed in anything you choose, but you will be happy doing it. So thank you so much for pointing that out. It's such an important thing, especially as a woman in often still a male-dominated world. Know your strengths and embrace them and flaunt them, because you're all awesome, and you've all chosen this path with a lot of obstacles. And bravo, all of you. And thank you so much.
If you're not good with Bunsen burners.
Yeah, thank you so much for that comment. I totally agree. When someone's passionate about something, you can just hear it in their voice. They light up, and they have this great energy. And when I interview candidates, I can tell are they excited about this job, or are they just going through the motions? So it's important to know what your strengths are and be passionate.
Or are you somewhere still in the decision process? Maybe you're an economics major, but you're not sure. Maybe if those of you who are already down the road with economics and you want to do that, would you mind raising your hand? So maybe a little more than half. Excellent. Well, one of the reasons that we created this group, and when we very first time we designed the forum, it was to help introduce economics to especially freshmen or sophomores, or anyone who's undeclared or still thinking about it. I know a lot of people have economics in high school before they even come here, but they're still not really thinking what it is that they would do with economics, and it feels like, well, you can be an economist, and work, with the title economist, and there's a million things you can do. Please feel free to ask any of our amazing alums at the tables as well. Any questions that you have, especially if you're feeling undecided, and maybe just helping to think through what process you would go to arrive at that decision that ends up being one you feel really good about. Excellent. Well, thank you again to all of our panelists. That was fantastic. Wonderful. So what we're going to do now is it's time for dinner. So please feel free to grab a plate. And then when you come back to your table, you can go to a different table. You can go to multiple tables. We are here for you.